How's everyone doing? I am your host, Mike Harrison, and you are listening to Captivated Mind Radio, Captivated Mind TV, if you are live on YouTube. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, we are planning to start doing some live recording, some live shows here on YouTube. And based on YouTube policies, we will not be playing any music, but we will be basically having a talk show, open discussions over the radio and also on Captivated Mind TV on YouTube. We'll be doing some live shows and then some pre recordings as well. The goal is for this to be on with me, your host, Mike Harrison, every Tuesday evening. Uh, the time is a little different now, but we're shooting for from 6 to probably 9 o'clock, depending on how long our topic will last. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing good. Tonight's conversation is going to be about traditions. Yeah, so earlier today in I was fasting part day today and I saw a video that I was watching and I'm going to share this video with you shortly. But in watching the video, it brought a lot of things to my mind that in our life, depending on where do you come from in the world, there are different cultures and there are different traditions that each family and if every group of people have that everyone share, and it's something that unites a group of people. It's traditions. And even here in America, a few things that we will consider tradition is things like Easter and Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas. Things like those are basically tradition that we have been doing for centuries. And I can ask you guys a question: why do we do these things that we do? Even Valentine's Day, but they become a part of us because everyone else do it. We do it. Our parents does it, so we do it as well. Thanksgiving, everyone eats a fine meal, gather together. Then right after that, there's Black Friday deals, and everyone goes shopping on that. So, guys, what I want you guys to do is to pay attention to tonight's topic. So, I'm going to pull up the video right now so that you guys can take a look, and I hope you guys can hear it. All right, give me one moment. Are you guys able to hear that? Let me see if I can put it up on the screen as well. Share the screen with you guys. Now, guys, I'm kind of new to all of this, so we're learning some things together. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna have to use a different approach on this, guys. So I'm gonna use my phone and I'm gonna play the video. So if you're watching on YouTube, you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it. All right, so listen carefully. Maybe I need to turn up the volume.
Why do you
All right, guys, so here's the video.
This mom cuts the head and the tail off a fish before cooking it.
What a waste.
Her daughter asks,
why do you do this?
the mom says,
Because my mom did it that way.
so the daughter calls grandma and asks the same question.
Grandma, why?
Grandma says,
Because my mom did it that way.
so the daughter visits great grandma and asks the same question.
Why do we cut the head and the tail of the fish?
The great grandma laughs and says,
Oh, I only cut it because in 1950 my pan was too small.
that's it. It was not a recipe, not a tradition. great grandma just had a tiny pan, and we never questioned it. We do this in life, in religion, in culture, in government. We follow tradition and we don't know why. So maybe it's time to ask
Why?
a little bit more often. That's 1 minute. See you tomorrow.
All right. So if you are listening to that, you realize, as the author says, or the commentator, we need to start asking ourselves the question more on and more why. And it's something that I've noticed that ever since I was a child that I kind of pay attention to. I ask why a lot and a lot of things. And being a believer and going to church, there's a lot of things that I ask why. When we find out we do these things, the question is always, well, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we following what everybody says to follow? Why are we going with everything the government says do? Why do we do these certain things in the church? Why? Just why? And I remember a few years back, and I could pull this up on YouTube, so you won't be able to see this online on the radio, but I'll just read it to you guys. But we just do things and we follow everybody else while and do it, and then when we're questioned, why is it that you guys celebrate this thing? It's like, well, my family has always done that. And even in the story, you see that the little girl was the one that was questioning her mother. Mom, why do you cut the heads and the tails off the fish before you fry it? She's like, oh, my mother did it. The little girl questioned even more. Grandma, why do we do this? Well, I did it because my mother did it. She went to her great grandmother. She's like, great grandma, why do we do this? And the simple response was that because her pot that she used to have was too small, she had to cut the head off, right, in order for it to fit in the pot. Something so simple, right? The little girl had to get to the bottom of it by asking the question, why? Right? And so many of you that is listening over the radio and even watching on YouTube, it's like, how many times have you questioned why your family, your friends, your group do something? And sometimes when you start doing it, you have like a little inkling or a little intuition that is questioning, why am I doing this? But then you kind of sideswipe it, or you step past that and you're like, you know what? I'm doing it. Everybody else is doing it. It's not bothering anybody, so I don't see why I gotta stop. But guys, there's always a reason to ask the question, why? Right? Something that I want to share. Right? So I may add this to the screen. I hope people on YouTube will be able to see it. There's a guy. His name is I might butcher his name. His name is Sakashi Toyota, Toyota, a Japanese inventor and industrialist, right? Who is also the founder of the Toyota industry, right? He came up with a method. It's the 5 ways method that he developed, right? The technique was later popularized within Toyota Motor Corporation as part of its Toyota production system, right? Now, the purpose of the why is to find the root cause of something, right? So the 5 ways method is used to identify the root cause of a problem by asking why repeatedly, right? Technically 5 times, but it can be more or it can be less depending on the situation, right? Until the fundamental issue is uncovered. Example, the problem with the car, because this is Toyota, he does vehicles. The car won't start. The first why the battery is dead. Then it says, the next question, why is the battery dead? The alternator is not working. Why isn't the alternator working? The alternator belt is broken. Then why is the alternator belt broken? The belt was well beyond its service life and not replaced. Why wasn't it replaced, and why is it beyond the service years? The vehicle wasn't maintained according to the schedule. And with those 5 questions or 5 whys, you were able to find the root cause of what the problem is. So this person that's asking this question will hopefully learn from this, right? And make sure that he followed this natural schedule of maintaining the belt, that he won't run into this problem again, right? So that they found out is a lack of maintaining or lack of maintenance, right? So I look at it and I apply it to our life. As I say, guys, you know that I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, right? So sometimes, you ask yourself the question, right? Why do believers do or practice certain things that they practice? Why is it that people leave the church, right? Let's say you have a church and you notice people coming into the church and they're leaving, and your members, right? Your member list is always the same, and but different faces. That means you are missing something, right? That means that people are coming, then people are leaving, and people are not staying. So then you ask the question, why? Why are people not coming or not joining my ministry? Now you go around and you ask the people that you know, the people that may have left, and say, "Excuse me, I just want to know why do you no longer want to come to my church?" Well, I just don't like the fact that I don't have access to the pastor. Let's say they say that. And then you ask them a question, why is it important for you to have access to the pastor when you have access to so many things? They might say, well, it's just because I want a sense of, being familiar with the head of the ministry. And then you ask them, and then it might lead to those people going through like church hurt in the past before, and that this might be something that's very important to them, right? And then you can ask them, well, why didn't you try to let me know, or let the pastor or let the church know these things, so that it can be fixed? And they might say, well, I did try, but I never got any response. So now that pastor or that leader will be able to know that there's an issue with communication within their church, and that they have to fix that issue in order to get the connection with the regular members, so that people will feel more comfortable coming to the church, right? That was just a light example of what that may be. But especially as a Christian, when you're reading the Word of God, because the thing is, as Christians, we're supposed to read our Bible quite frequently. We're supposed to pray almost every day. I should say almost every day. We should read our Bibles every day. We should pray every day, and we should fast often, right? Those are the keys of being like a good believer. And does every believer stand on those principles? Does every believer do that? No. I know that even for me, I don't fast as often as I should. I don't pray as often as I should, and I don't read as often as I should. Why? Well, because I'm always busy. And when I ask the question, why am I always busy? Well, because I have all these other things. Well, in asking the question why, I know that my life is not as organized as it should be. And because it's not as organized as it should be, I find myself missing snippets of time, caught up in whether I'm on YouTube or on Instagram, kind of wasting time watching videos, because you know how entertainment is nowadays, guys. As soon as you start watching one video, before you know it, you've gone through 30, 40 videos, and you wonder, where did the time go? Because it sucks you in, it pulls you in. But as soon as it comes to something that develops your spiritual life, or develop your physical, like your mental, state, things that benefits you as a person, it kind of gets boring, and you kind of lose yourself in it, and then you get tired, and then you just turn on your YouTube or your Instagram, and all of a sudden you get sucked into that whirlpool. It just drags you in. That entertainment, they say that all that endorphins goes off in your head. It's something that's pleasurable, something that is nice, but a thing that benefits us we consider as boring. Is how the society is developed nowadays, guys. But we should always focus on developing ourselves. Now, going back to the talk of tradition, guys. Not all tradition, not all cultural goals is good, and not all of them are beneficial to you. So you have to start asking yourself why, and you have to also start asking yourself, is this beneficial to me? Is this beneficial towards my goals? Now, if you find out that you don't have any goals, now that you have to start asking yourself, why don't you have any goals for your life? I start looking at it and I start realizing that a lot of us as people in general, right? Once we leave high school, it seems like our dreams and our goals kind of stop or kind of plateau. We do not have that drive as we do when we're in school. Right, when we're in school, we're trying to get that A. We're trying to pass that test. We want to get that essay done. We want to meet that, get ready, study for our finals. Want to pass our finals. But once we get out of school, it seems like everything plateau. Our life becomes a cycle. Some of us we travel, that's good, and some of us, we're just home, work, church, sleep, and the cycle wash and repeats itself because we lose that zeal, we lose that motivation, we lose that drive. Why is it? Why do we stop learning? The thing is, as people, we can continue to learn, continue to read, continue to develop ourselves, but a lot of us, we stick to the tradition that we make for ourselves, which is on Friday evenings. A lot of people, they want to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they want to go to the party, they want to go to the club, they want to hang out, they want to drink, and that becomes everyone's norm, right? And then for those people that travels, you work, you save up your money, and then you go and travel to this place and that place, and you just live a life that is just in a constant state of wash and repeat. You know what I mean? I just think that as people, let me close this out. I think as people, we need to get into the habit of, breaking certain traditions, breaking things that do not fit the goal that we have for our life. And even though it might feel uncomfortable, which breaking tradition is going to feel uncomfortable, but once you know the reason why you're doing something, it's easier for you to break those tradition. Because even in that story with the little girl and the her family and the fish, I'm sure after she brings that to her grandmother and then she brings that to her mother, that they will break that tradition of cutting off the head and cutting off the tails of the fish before they fry it. Because in the modern times, our frying pans now are a lot bigger. Our skillets are a lot bigger, so it can hold a lot more. You know what I mean? And then just like how the great grandmother laughed, right? They'll probably laugh and say, I can't believe all these years I've been doing this. And that was the reason why my great grandmother or my grandmother, my mother, did this. So, guys, I really want us to continue developing ourselves, developing our mind, developing the things that we do, right? And here on Captivated Mind Radio and also Captivated Mind TV, the quote that we have is just be mindful of what captures your mind, what captures our mind. Because the thing is, in this life, there are things that will cause us to deviate from our potential, the things that we are capable of doing, and make us feel comfortable and safe with where we are, right? It goes back to reading. I'm not a good reader, and what I realize is reading is very vital, is very important for our growth, right? In a mental state, also in a knowledge base. There was a saying back in the day that says that you want to hide something from a person, just put it in a book. And the funny thing about it is it's true. Because many of us, we will not open a book and we will not read, right? And the thing is, there are people out there that makes you feel like you are foolish or you don't have a proper mindset because you might not be a strong reader. But if you take up a book and you start reading, I think it says 20 minutes a day, right? At least 20 minutes a day. and then you slowly increase it. That will cause you to build your vocabulary. That will cause you to build your confidence in such a different way, and that'll sharpen your mind. And because our mind is is a muscle, the more that we work it, the sharper we'll get. Then we can improve. A lot of the things that people may make fun of us of, except for height and certain things, we can improve by putting in a little effort. So, guys, here on Captivated Mind TV, here on Captivated Mind Radio, our goal is to have people improve themselves, to become better versions of themselves, so that we, as a community, as a group of people, can be better than our previous generation, so that we can break bad habits, that we can break bad cultural values and bad traditions. And guys, some of these traditions need to be broken. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna try and look it up. But I saw a clip. Right, it's like a cartoon clip, and they had a guy, and it seems like he stand for only one race. Let me just put it that way, put it lightly. And in the picture, um, I'm looking for it. Uh, in the picture, he had a lot of I guess the word paraphernalias. He had a lot of figurines that stands on his love for only one group of people. And then he started to travel, and he started traveling to different countries, meeting different people, joining in different cultural events and things. And then it goes back to the same like living room area that in his home, and you see that he replaced the things that he had before, the figurines and things that he have, that's show where he is for just one race. And then it starts showing things from all over the world. In the picture before, you see that he was kind of grumpy and moody, and in the one in the end where he has traveled around the world and met all these different people, he had a more smile on his face. Right now, the thing about that is, a lot of people, whether they stand for only one race or their views are different, many of them is the reason they get in that because of the tradition of their family, and they just grew up that way. My mom, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my ancestors, they had this mindset, they believe this, right? And but when it is that you finally start traveling and start meeting people of different races and different cultures, you realize that a lot of times people are very similar to you. Not only that, that you have a fullness when it comes to meeting other people. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find that clip for you guys on Captivated Mind TV, but I know it was an old cartoon clip that I saw on Facebook. You know how those things be popping up sometimes. But you know what I'm going to start doing for Captivated Mind TV, I'm going to start saving these clips so that I'll be able to put them on. So tonight, guys, as I say, we were talking about traditions, and a lot of us have traditions in our family, and I believe that some of these traditions need to be broken. And the best way to break this tradition is, just as a little girl in that audio clip, is to educate yourself. Ask the questions why. And just as Mr. Toyota said, right? Mr. Toyota, that is Sakashi, that's Sakichi, Toyota, Toyoda, has said, ask yourself the questions why 5 times, and then you will find the root. At least, well, 5 times, but as I said, you can be less on it or it could be more. But guys, always get to the root of why it is you do what you do, why it is you feel the way that you do. If you have a dislike for someone, why do I dislike this person for whatever reason? And sometimes even in disliking a person, I was talking to my wife before, and sometimes it could stem from a misunderstanding. It could stem from someone said something that that person didn't say. And some might say, oh, it's not what they said, is how they say it. But sometimes when people say something a certain way, they have no ill intent. It's just that's just the way they were brought up. I remember a while back, I was dating this young lady, and she was telling me the importance of me saying I love you to her, right? And so I asked her, I said, do you understand? Do you know that there are 5 love languages? She said yes, right? And for many of you that don't know this, right, there there is 5 love language. I'm looking it up right now, right? And of the 5 love language, I asked her, I said, of the 5 love language, which word you have word of affirmation is one of them. And I said to her, if I don't tell you that I love you, but I use 4 of those love language, I said to her, would you still feel unloved? And she said yes. She would feel unloved because she has to hear me say I love you. So you have, of the 5 love language, you have, I'm gonna put this on YouTube TV, or Captivated Mind TV. Sorry, let me this real quick. Hold on a second. Okay, share, and I'm gonna put this here. Okay, so of it, let me get rid of this. You have word of affirmation, you have gifts, you have acts of service, you have quality time, and physical touch. So word of affirmation, of course, would be, when you say I love you, or thanks for putting the kids to bed, is one of the examples on the screen. Of course, everything else is basically self-explanatory, right? um and so I was telling her, so if I give you physical touch, I spend quality time with you, I have access service to you, and I give you gifts, but I don't have the words of affirmation where you feel unloved. And she said yes. And I said, even though I understand that words of affirmation is very important to you, you have to understand also the person that you get yourself involved with, right? I told her that some people like me, in my family, when I was brought up, my mom, my dad, my brothers and sisters, we never say I love you to each other. That's not something that we threw around. When we got older, we started doing that, like after we hang up on the phone, we say, bye, I love you, but when we were growing up, there's never something that we did. And not only that, my brother may ask me for something, or my sister may ask me for something, and I will give it to them, and they don't say thank you, right? And I kind of grew up with that we knew that everyone was thankful. So even if my brother, I gave my brother something and he didn't say thank you, it didn't bother me because I knew he appreciates it, if that makes any sense. So basically, we had a nonverbal relationship in our family. My dad didn't have to tell me that I love you to know that he loved me. My mom didn't have to tell me that because their actions showed it, right? So I was telling her that even though word of affirmation is important, it's also understanding the person that you're with. And if they're not used to that type of living, to give them the grace in living that life. And it never really makes sense to me if you don't hear that, but the person is practicing the 4 love language to you still feel unloved. I never really understand that in every relationship. And if you're out there and you're dating, or you're married, every relationship that you're in, you have to empathize with the person that you're in a relationship with. And the relationship don't necessarily have to mean like a husband and wife, or dating, or romantic. It could mean friendship. Every one of us were brought up with different traditions, with different culture, and each family has their own structure of culture or traditions. So when you empathize, right, you try to find an equal ground or understanding of that person. And it's just like I tell my wife, so many times we want to put our values on our friends and family, or our mindset on our friends and family, and our friends and our family don't necessarily think the way that we think. They don't act the way that we act. They do not speak the way that we speak. And that's where we have to emphasize, or empathize, sorry, I used the wrong word, empathize with them, right? And with that, that's where we have growth. Going back to the example with the cartoon and the man that travels. When you travel, and this is why I believe it's important for people to travel around the world, to see different cultures, to see different people, to see different things, because it opens you up. Instead of having like a 3x5 mindset with what fits in the 3x5 rectangle, because it wouldn't be a box, because it's not equal. But when we start expanding our surrounding, our understanding of things, then we can empathize more with people. Then we can understand that, yes, in some cultures, kids can't act a certain way without getting popped by their parents. Kids do not speak a certain type of way to their parents. And the thing is, you have to respect that, because the thing is, those things help to define the person on who they are today. Guys, you're listening to Captivated Mind Radio. You're watching Captivated Mind TV. I'm still trying to pull up that picture, but you know what? I'm not really a fast typer as well. So, but it would have been nice to show it. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening. Tonight's going to be really short because I need to get back on to doing what I'm doing here on Captivated Mind Radio and Captivated Mind TV. And my goal, as I said, is to do this every Tuesday. So because of my work schedule, there will probably be live episodes, and there will be some recording, and then there will probably be some replays, right? And the reason for that, as I said, is because of my work schedule. But guys, I am thankful for you listening, and for those of you that used to watch Captivated Mind back in the day and are still subscribed. Thank you for your subscription. And if you are watching this for the first time, I want you to like, to comment, share, and also subscribe to this channel. Guys, I want to expand this a little more. I want to every now and then have my wife come on with me for us to have the conversation. And as I said, with Captivated Mind TV and Captivated Mind Radio, the focus is building yourself, right? Building your from your lifestyle to your mindset to your spiritual side as well. Because the thing is, a lot of people, they don't really focus on their spiritual side, but every one of us have a spiritual side. And whatever you decide to put your faith in, that builds that spiritual man. And as a believer, I say that we have, as Christians, 3 things that we need to focus on mainly. Pray every day. Read your Bible every day. Fast often, so that we can build our spiritual man. A lot of us as believers, we go through things that we don't have to go through. And the reason why we go through these things that we don't have to go through is because we walk in disobedience to God's word, right? And not only that, for people who are not believers, all of us are always caught up with things that we're not supposed to be caught up with. We're caught up with people we're not supposed to be caught up with. And that causes us to be distracted from the things that can help develop our life, to develop our purpose. And I want to see us grow. I want to see more financially free people. I want to see more healthy people, meaning that, you're not battling like diabetes. You're not battling, all these body aches and pain, so even on this channel, I want to encourage you guys to, if you're not exercising, to go out at least 30 minutes a day, get a brisk walk. And while you're getting a brisk walk, get your audio books, and you can listen to some audio book while you're walking. Brisk walk, get that heart rate up, start sweating out these impurities in our bodies, and also start eating right. For those of you, us, or for those who are Christians, who are believers, start listening to some worship music, start listening to the audio Bible, start listening to some devotional in order to build your spirit, man. And not only that, if you're a believer, try fasting once a week. You might start like missing out on breakfast and eating your lunch. And sometimes you can start you breaking lunch, missing out on lunch, breakfast, and then eat dinner, and then after a while extend it out a little bit. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, we have to build our spiritual man as Christians. The Bible tells us that God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So guys, this is what I want for you. This is what I want for us. I want 2025 to start producing men and women that are not victims of societies, not victims of problems, not people looking for excuses, but people that is willing to take the ball in their hand to dribble down the court and to do a 3-point shot in this life to make it better for you, for your family, for the next generation. Here on Captivated Mind Radio, we stand on always be mindful of what captures your mind. And until next time, this is your host, Mike Harrison, and I am signing off. You guys be safe, be well, be blessed. Until next time, signing off.